All right. Thank you everybody for joining us for this session. So you want to be a screenwriter with our very special guest, Michaela Pistelli Carrozzo. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Michaela. Michaela is an actress, screenwriter, and director with over 10 years experience. She is best known for her role as Caitlin on Disney's Lab Rats, currently streaming on Disney+. Michaela is a screenwriter and a director for Rock Wayne Studios, recently returning from writing and directing her very own television pilot. Welcome, Michaela.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here.
So, Michaela,
okay.
The floor is yours.
Oh, okay. I'm ready. I was like, oh, is it time? Okay, I'm ready. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here and working with all of you. It's a huge passion of mine to help up and coming screenwriters and filmmakers in the industry. And so one of the things that I'm kind of known for in my coaching is to teach you guys how to have success without regret. So the industry is a very interesting industry to break into. There's a lot of pressure here and there to be something that you're not. And so you're going to find that in my teaching that I talk a lot about that, success without regret, or a career without compromise. So essentially staying true to yourself. So I'm a huge advocate for that. I'm also a huge advocate for clean content. So you're going to kind of see that as I go along. But here, we're going to talk today So You Want to Be a Screenwriter. We're essentially going to be covering a lot of information in a very short amount of time. And it looks like I do have the capability to share my screen. So I will be sharing my screen during this. We are really going to be going through like kind of the creative process, leaving an impact, talking about content, genres and treatments and log lines, and we're going to even go through formatting and software. So I'm actually going to show you formatting. So essentially, this is going to give you all the tools you need to become a professional screenwriter today. So let's get started. And also, you might want to take notes because I'm going to go pretty fast. Although this is recorded, you can watch it back. But I have a short amount of time, so we're going to just get right into it. So essentially, if you're here, you are an aspiring screenwriter. So you probably have aspirations and dreams of working for maybe a television, your favorite television network, or maybe starting your own production company. Who knows where you are, but I'm really excited for kind of like this first step in your journey. And maybe you've already been screenwriting, maybe you've been doing this for a long time, but wherever you are, this is definitely going to help you do it in a professional way in order for you to actually sell your scripts. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is screenwriting in general. And as you know, screenwriting is essentially coming up with an idea, writing a script for a television show or a film or even a commercial or a music video, whatever it may be. You essentially are the one with the ideas and you're getting your ideas down onto paper. And so we're going to actually start with the creative process and the flow of the script. So the creative process is essentially when you're kind of coming up with your ideas, you're brainstorming, maybe you're writing down like, oh, I have this idea and that idea and that idea, and you're kind of narrowing it down to your favorite one. And so it's extremely important that when you are picking your topic, you want to pick something that you feel is going to hook your audience. And so what I mean by that is when you're first writing your screenplay, you want to hook the audience with your writing. And so it needs to be interesting, needs to be fun. Now, this said, a lot of things have been done. A lot of ideas have been done. And so you want to try to find a way to make your script stand out, to make it different from other things that have been done. And this could be having very specific, strong characters. This could be like your dialogue. It could just be your storyline in general. So just this creative process of kind of thinking and brainstorming. And it's a really fun time. So when you're just like coming up with all of these ideas and trying to get it down on a paper. So let's talk about leaving an impact with your screenwriting. What I say is there's a lot of power in the pen. So you can really impact your audience with what you write. You can affect a lot of people with your writing. And so you want to take that responsibility seriously. And you do want to really think about what you're writing. And so essentially as a writer, you're actually in control of the content. You have a lot to give. And I think it's important to kind of know what you want to do. And also making strong choices as a screenwriter. I, as an acting coach as well, myself, and a screenwriting and directing coach, I always tell my actors, like, make strong choices. It's the same thing with screenwriters too. Make really strong choices and be firm in your choices, and like really back your choices and believe in your choices, and then just enjoy it and write something amazing. Um, I'm gonna say this. In the industry, when you are writing, let's say that you are hired by a company, they might be specific on like, okay, this is what we want, and then you would write it. Sometimes you're kind of like, you haven't sent your script anywhere, you haven't been hired, and so now you kind of have the creative freedom to write whatever you want. So that's kind of the differences there. But just be careful in that and like what you're writing, because again, there's immense power in the pen. So I always tell my students that I work with the 3 W's. So I would suggest writing this down. This is something to remember as a screenwriter. So the first W for the 3 W's is, who are you? So who are you as a person? Just in general, like just explain like, who are you, or who are you as a screenwriter? The next one is, why are you passionate? Why are you passionate about screenwriting? Why do you do what you do? If we don't have passion in what we're doing, why are we doing it? So it's really going to affect how your script turns out, believe it or not, your passion behind it. So why are you passionate? And then also, what legacy do you want to leave behind? So this comes down to, what do you want to be remembered for as a screenwriter? What do you want to be remembered for how you impact your audience, like how you write these moving scripts with lots of emotion, whatever it may be. Think about that. So 3 W's: who are you, why are you passionate, and what legacy do you want to leave behind? All right, now let's talk about knowing your audience. So knowing your audience is extremely important. So know who you're writing for. So for example, let's say that I'm going to write a television show that's a half-hour television sitcom. So let's think about, okay, well, what could be a half-hour television sitcom? It could be Disney. It could be something else. You could be working like with CBS or TV Land or something. Who knows what it could be? A channel, ABC. They're very different. ABC is very different. Actually, ABC is part of Disney, but ABC is actually a different feel than a Disney show. So a Disney show, when you're writing it, it has a very specific feel and a type of comedy to it. Whereas like an ABC comedy show is very different too. So know your audience. Who's watching your show? Are you writing a kid's show, which would be for Disney Channel, or are you writing something more for adults? That would be more ABC or something else like that. So think about your audience. Maybe you're writing a film, maybe it's a dramatic film, maybe you're writing a documentary. So just think about like, who is your audience, and write accordingly for that. Now, picking your genre. So again, that's kind of goes back to, what do you like? What are you passionate about? Do you want to write a documentary? Do you want to write a full-length feature film? Do you want to write an hour-long television show, a half-hour television sitcom? What do you want to do? So just really where your passion lies, pick your genre that way. Okay, now let's talk about a treatment. So if you've never heard what a treatment is essentially a description of your show. So it's like a 1-page, maybe sometimes it can be 1 to 2 pages. I recommend keeping it down to like half a page to a page, but it's essentially showing the person who's reading it what your entire show is about, or what your entire movie is about. So essentially it's a summary. So summarize your show in your treatment. Again, this is going to come to the end of this session where we talk about pitch package, and so it's going to be involved in that. Also, you want to create your characters. So you want to have character descriptions. And so the way that I format my character descriptions is I normally will put the character name, and then I'll put the age range of the character. So let's say they're 15 to 17. So I'll put that age range in there, and then I will describe the character. And then usually at the end, I will put whether they are a guest star, a lead actor, a reoccurring actor, whatever that may be. There's different types. And so that's something that I don't really have time to go over. I wish I did, but you would put on there. And then you could also put on there if you need a strong actor in comedy or drama. So that's kind of the way that I would format my characters' descriptions, but that would also be part of your pitch package too. So once you've created that too, set that aside for that. All right. Overcoming writer's block. Woo, this is a great topic here. So this is going to happen to you as a writer. It is going to happen. How do you overcome writer's block? Okay, well, I'll simply say that when it happens, not if, because it will happen. So when it happens, what I normally do is I actually will stop what I'm doing and I'll kind of set it aside because I tend to get stressed out if I can't figure out what I want to write. So I'll kind of set it aside. I'll take some time doing something else and I'll usually come back to it. And usually while I'm doing something else, the idea will come into my head. Also, sometimes I'll actually just kind of sit there and write things and test things and, oh, maybe this is not working. Let's change it. Because the wonderful thing about screenwriting is you can rewrite. So that's another thing. Also, don't get in your head and don't get too worried about, oh, I have writer's block. I can't finish this script right now. Don't worry about it. If you're not on a time crunch, you kind of have the liberty to step aside and then kind of come back to it. So I think it's about like not getting in your head and just testing things out, like writing it down. I think physically writing things down and testing it out is one of the best ways. So those are just a few tips. There's a lot of other things you can do, but those are just a few tips for overcoming writer's block. Okay, so I'm actually about to share my screen. We are going to get into formatting now. So the softwares that I recommend using, so you are a first-time screenwriter, you want to just try it out, and you are kind of just wanting to test the waters. I recommend Studio Binder. So studiobinder.com is actually a great software. So it's online. You sign up with your email. You get one script for free. So you go on there and you don't have to give like a credit card, debit card, whatever it is. You don't have to do that. You just sign up for free. You get one script, and then you actually get to it'll help you put the script in the right format for you. Formatting is extremely important. If you want to pitch to any professional network, it has to be in the correct format, which I'm actually going to show you today through Studio Binder. The software that I recommend if you really want to do it professionally, a must-have is Final Draft. Final Draft is the go-to for screenwriters. So if you really want to be a professional screenwriter, you need to get Final Draft. Not only will it give you a ton of templates to use, but it'll also allow you to tag your scripts, which means organizing it by props and all these things. It'll allow you to put it into a shooting script format. It's going to allow you so much to do. So Final Draft, it usually runs about $200. It is something that you can actually download onto your computer from online. You simply just Google search it and it will come up. And there's lots of tutorials on Studio Binder and Final Draft on YouTube. If you simply just search Final Draft tutorial or Studio Binder tutorial on YouTube, you will be able to get a lot of information on how to use it there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you how to put your script into the correct format. And you can do this today. All you have to do is sign up for Studio Binder and you can take your script and put it in the right format. It says host disabled participant sharing screen. Grant, is there any way I can share my screen?
You should be good now.
Okay, perfect. Let me just see here. Ah, perfect. All right, let's share. Here we go. All right. Can you see this, Grant? Yeah.
I can.
Okay, perfect. All right, so here we are on Studio Binder. Actually, let me just hide my panel here. Let's see, hide video panel. Perfect. Okay, now I can see. All right, so I actually started writing a quick little example script here, but you can kind of see the format that I'm putting it in. I mean, again, I always recommend Final Draft. Actually, I don't even know why this is on here. Let me get rid of that. Final Draft is going to give you the best, easiest way to do it, but this also works as well. And this is still considered a professional format. So I'm going to show you how to use it on Studio Binder. So let me just get my notes here really quick. So I'm going to try to move through this as quickly as we can. Again, you can watch tutorials on YouTube to get more information. So I'm going to explain to you kind of what we're seeing here. So I'm going to explain to you all of these buttons at the top. So once you're actually on your script, this is something you just sign up for. You like create a new script and here you go. This will usually be empty though. Actually, it will be empty when you open it up. But this is scene setting. So I'm actually going to, now that you kind of see what I'm doing here, I'm going to delete all this. Okay, so scene setting. So when you click this button, there's actually a way to do that. You can kind of see like right there, there's like a shortcut that you can click, but then essentially you click this and then you can click any of these. What these are, interior, this is interior. So let's say that your script is inside. You would click interior. Let's say that your script starts inside, but then it goes outside. You'd click interior, exterior. See, this is exterior, interior, exterior. Let's say your script is outside and then goes inside, exterior, interior. So you click whatever you want. So let's just say interior. All right. And then you're going to type, let's say, for example, let's see, Sophie's home. And then what you would put is you would put like the time of day it is. So let's say that it's a day. Okay. Or you can be more specific. Early morning, right? You can kind of put whatever you want. You have that creative freedom to do it. So this is one of the first things that you will do. Also, what it's better with a final draft. What you can also do is you can actually stick up here. Let's see if I can find it. You can actually put like general, and let's say that you're doing a television show. Okay, you can separate this by like acts. So the first scene in a television show is a teaser. Oops, I can't spell today. Again, Studio Binder gives you a better option for this. So on here, you kind of have to do a general and then like move it over. But that would be teaser. The next scene would be Act 1, Scene A. And then Act 1, Scene B, Act 1, Scene C. And then eventually you get halfway through your script and you do Act 2, Scene, oh my goodness, I cannot spell, Scene A. Okay, there you go. So again, rushing through this really quick, but you guys can watch the recording back to get more information on this. But essentially, that's what you do. If you're doing a film, you can actually just do it by like Scene 1, Scene 2, Scene 3. You can, actually, this one has it for you right here. But I don't really like how it does that because it doesn't really exactly separate it by scene on Studio Binder. Again, like I said, I would just put that there. So let's say this is a film. So actually, no, let's make it a TV show. So I'm going to do teaser. Okay. Final draft is better for this, but you know what? This works for your first time. It's just like a little more complicated to do it, but it definitely works. Okay, so now we're back to scene setting. Now I'm going to show you what the next thing is here. Next, we're going to be doing our cast list. Okay, so just kind of ignore this that's down here. So when you want your cast list, it's going to be right underneath your this right here. So basically your scene setting. So you click parentheses right here, parentheses, and you notice how it's right here for you. So let's say all the people that are in the script, we got Sophie, Edgar, and Jeff. Okay, like let's just say those are the people that are in the script. So then there you go. You got your character descriptions. Okay, now the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to enter down here. Now we want to do action. So we want to describe what is going on in the scene. What is the scene setting? So then you click action. Actually, I don't even know why this is here, but sometimes that pops up. Just ignore it. All right, then you're going to click action. So let's see. So I'll just say Sophie sits, Sophie and Edgar sit at the dining room table, eating breakfast. Their backpacks are near the door, ready for school. I don't know. This is not super creative, you guys. I'm just being like super simple, mostly showing you guys the format. Jeff enters. Jeff, their father enters. There we go. Okay. Jeff, their father enters. Perfect. And then there you go. Now you have the action. Okay. And then the next thing that we're going to do on this is we're going to do character. Okay, so you can see up here, it now says character. See, when you push enter, you notice it's just going to keep staying on action. So again, with Studio Binder, you kind of have to go back to the top and then click character. And then you notice how my cursor ends up in the middle of the page. So it's actually going to be in the middle, which is where it's supposed to be. So now we're going to say the character name. So let's say Sophie is going to say something. And I actually did not put my any of this on. I didn't make it bold. I didn't put the parentheses in. I didn't make it cap locks. This software did it for me, essentially. Now, what's really cool is after you do character, when you push enter, it immediately goes to dialogue for you. So all you have to do is push enter. So on that one, you don't even have to switch to dialogue. So again, let's review. Scene setting, action, character. These are parenthetical. These are like the character descriptions right here. And then we have dialogue. So let's say Sophie says, I really don't want to go to school today. And then enter, right? Now let's say we want Edgar to say something. Go back up and click character. And actually, oh wait, did you notice that? So down here, it says Sophie. So once you write one in, it'll actually save it for you. So if you want Sophie to speak again later on, you can just click that, which is really cool. So now we have somebody new. We have Edgar. You never want to go to school. What else is new? You know, something like that. Okay. And then you can keep going on and on and on and on as you do your character descriptions. So now let's say that you want to do an action again. All right. When you click enter, let's say from this, it automatically goes back to action from you. If you ended up with dialogue here, enter, it automatically goes back to action. So you can, you know, say whatever you want here. I'm just going blah, blah, blah. And then what will happen is, let's say that you want to go to another scene. Okay. You're going to do a transition. So now we're going to look at this transition. Now you're going to notice all of these things come up. Cut to, fade in, fade out, fade to, fade out, fade dissolve to, back to, match cut to, jump cut to, fade to, and black. So yeah, that's a lot. Now, this is how you're making your shooting script. So when you're actually like giving this to someone like as a pitch, it's already ready to film. This is actually for the director. So let's say that you imagine after the first scene, you like fade into the next scene, then you'd click that one, or you'd dissolve to the next scene. Again, this goes back to like editing. So at the end, like when the editor is working on it, they can kind of match that or do whatever they want. Jump cut to is really interesting. Jump cut to is like you jump to another character, or you jump to another image to bring the audience's attention to that. Sometimes it can be scary, like a jump scare, right? So you could do it, if you've ever heard of that, you can do a jump cut too. Again, I'm not going to go into all of these. Watch tutorials on Studio Binder. I'm sure I'll give you some information about that. You can always look these up. But again, this kind of gets into directing. So you get to, I usually use cut to. That's the main one that I use. So as you can see, since I chose cut to, it actually brought me right back to the scene setting, because the software knows that now I have to set the scene. So let's say now we're exterior, bus stop, a little later, right? Okay, now I can give the description. Once I push enter from here, it automatically goes back to action for me, right? I was on scene setting, went back to action. Now I get to put in the action and all of that information right there. And then I keep going and going and going. And then this is general. Let's say that up here, I wanted to say, it won't kind of do it for you on Studio Binder, but let's say that this is another scene and I wanted to put Act 1, Scene A. I just push enter here, and then you can just ignore this. It will balance itself out. Then you just see it went right back. You push general, Act 1, Scene A, right? And then you just move it to the middle, and then there you go. And you can capitalize it. This one you're going to have to do manually if you want, but there you go. And then you move on to the next scene. And that's kind of what it's going to look like all the way down. So this is the professional formatting. So when you are pitching your scripts, this is actually what will work for you. Okay, so also you probably want to make a title page. So I'm going to just like, it's easier on Final Draft. On Final Draft, you can there's actually a template for a title page, but essentially I'm going to kind of show you what a title page would look like. We're just going to do general. You can, I don't know if I would do this on Studio Binder, but you can. But essentially you would put title, and then you would put, I'm gonna go back to general. So then you'd put title of the show, and then you would put the name, your written by, and then you would put your name. And then that's essentially that. This should go in the, okay, so it's hard to do it on Studio Binder. I usually don't do it on Studio Binder. If you use Final Draft, it'll have a template for you. Or you can do it like on a Word document. It's kind of hard to do it here, but essentially you would take this, it'd be in the middle of your page. So it shouldn't be up here, it should be in the middle of your page. And then at the very bottom of the right-hand corner, you can actually put, if you wrote your script, which I'll get into in just a second, if you wrote your script as well. Okay, so again, that was like a super crash course on the formatting. I know what I'm saying. Okay. So you can actually renumber your script too. So remember how it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down. You can renumber here. You can also download a PDF here. You can make a link to the script. So if you want people to share it, it's kind of like a Google Docs. You can actually share it with other people. They can comment on it. You can import the script, you can print the script. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do on here. Also over here, you can do more documents. You can have contacts in here if you're sending call sheets. That's basically the schedule. Workflow, that's just like kind of notes and stuff like that. You have a production calendar. This is actually kind of cool because it gives you like, if you're making an entire production, it'll have an option for call sheets. And again, you have to pay for the service every month to get all of this. But if you're just like starting out screenwriting, like, hey, I have a script, I want to put it in the right format, you can do one project for free here. And then I would not recommend paying on a monthly basis because I think it's like $30 a month. I would recommend buying Final Draft. Just go with that because you pay one time and you have it for life. That's just what I would recommend there. Okay, so let me see. I think that's it here. Let me stop sharing my screen. Here we go. Okay, so that was the basics on formatting. Again, watch tutorials of Studio Binder on YouTube and also try to get Final Draft if you can and watch tutorials on that. It's very similar. Final Draft is very, very similar to Studio Binder in like the buttons you have to click. It also gives you shortcuts and different things. And so it's just a little more streamlined and it's a little easier to use, but same concept, same format, same thing. Okay, so we have less than 10 minutes here. So I'm going to now talk about our pitch package and really what you need to be able to pitch your script. So let's say that you've written your script, it's in the correct format. What you're going to need is a couple things. One of the things we talked about was a treatment. So you need to be able to have a treatment. So write your treatment, which is your summary of your show. Usually at the top of that treatment, you'll kind of have the title and then written by, similar to your title page, and then you'll write down your summary. So you're going to print that out and you're going to have that page. Then you're going to have your character descriptions, and you can put at the top a little title like character descriptions. And then again, as a review, your character name, the age range, the description of the character, whether they're like, if it's a TV show, they're a guest star, they're a co-star, they're a lead actor. If it's in a film, like they're a starring role, like a lead or a supporting actor. And so you'd have all that information there. Again, I wish I could go into more. I just simply don't have time on that. So that's kind of where you guys can do your own research. And then you put if they're like a strong actor in drama or comedy, whatever you need. And that's going to go down the list with all of your characters. Again, be creative, create great characters. Now, also, when you're actually, this is a side note, just a quick tip. When you're writing your scripts, there's a couple of things that you should know. So there are such things as like a dialogue-driven script and then an action-driven script. A dialogue-driven script is essentially what it sounds like. Your script is driven by very powerful dialogue, and the dialogue is what moves the story forward. So you as a screenwriter, what are you doing? You're telling a story. So when it's dialogue-driven, your dialogue is explaining to the audience the story and moving it forward. There's also action-driven. Action-driven is essentially what you saw on the screenwriting, the action that we wrote. So your story is being pushed along by the visuals and what you see. So it's driven by the action of the script. Again, that was kind of a tangent, but that's a little side note for you guys. All right, back to the pitch package. We have we need to have the character descriptions, and you now have the treatment. Now you're also going to do what's called a log line. Now, a log line is a 1 to 2 sentence description of your script. And so that's going to summarize your entire show in 2 sentences. And what it's for is if you happen to meet like a network executive, let's say there's a network executive for Disney. Okay, let's just say that. Let's say you have like you're walking somewhere. I don't know. You never know when this is going to happen, but I'm telling you it will happen at some point. But it's like you're in an elevator with somebody who's a network executive or who like is maybe looking for TV shows or a film. You never know when this is going to happen. This is when you can do a soft pitch. So essentially what that is you will say the title of your show, and then you will say your log line, which is a 2-sentence description of your show. So you need to make sure that it's exciting. It really is something that's captivating, something that people you think would love, and also describing your entire show in 2 sentences. I know that's hard for us as screenwriters because we probably love to write a lot, but essentially just describing it very quickly. Okay, so now you have your log line, you have your script, you have your treatment, you have your character descriptions. Side note, when you print out your script, I'm just use this example. So let's say I have a script right here. When you print out your script, the format it should be in, it should have the title page in the front. So you're going to make the title page. Then your script is behind it. Usually there's also like characters and like who the actors are. And also there's usually locations. So there's pages for that. Again, I can't fully get into that right now, but there's usually 2 pages. One will kind of describe your characters, and then one is going to describe your locations, like your sets. So for example, like you would write down all your different sets and you would categorize it by the scene. So you remember how we did like Act 1, Scene A? If that's your first set, Act 1, Scene A, we're in the bus station. You'd write that, Act 1, Scene A, and then the bus station, right? So essentially, this is something you would kind of do your research on, but title page, the characters, the locations, and then the script, and then 3-hole punch, 1, 2, 3, and then you're gonna get little, like those little tabs that you stick into your script, and you put it in like that. So 3 tabs, the little gold ones, if you know what I'm talking about. And then you have that together. Then essentially, you also want to make a little poster. It could be a little one, it could be a big one. Have a graphic designer design like a little poster for your show. It's almost like a movie poster, so you can see it visually. And then what you're actually gonna do is when you have all these things, again, treatment, character descriptions, little poster for your show, your actual script, and let's see, am I missing something else? Your title page, your log line, have all that. Bring this all together in a package to where you're pitching. So I've actually had the pleasure to be able to pitch to Disney Channel. And so when I was doing that, I go up into this big executive building and they let me in. I get through security. I get to go in and you essentially usually meet with 1 or 2 people, and they are the ones that are going to kind of judge whether they feel like it's a good fit for them. And so you get to go in and you get to talk about your script, what it is. I wouldn't really play it like a sales pitch. It's more of like, here's a story, you're telling a story, be creative, you're telling a story. And essentially that will hook them on your story if that's what they're looking for. But again, it comes down to what they're looking for. You're going to go in with all of this stuff. You're going to give your pitch. You're going to tell the story. You're going to talk about the characters, and then they're probably going to ask you a ton of questions. So just be ready to answer all of their questions about your script and just go in and have a good time. Again, this is not a huge sale. It's more of like you're being descriptive and telling your story and like, here's why I'm passionate. This goes back to why am I passionate? So you're going to like tell your story in a passionate way. And this is what I'm doing. So when you do get the opportunity to actually go pitch your scripts, you now know what a pitch package is. And you now also know what format it needs to be in. So you're going to do it in all the professional way. And then all that good stuff right there. So we basically learned the basics of what you need to be able to be a screenwriter. Also, side note, really quick too, copyright. I would copyright through the Library of Congress. This is really important. I would write it down. Copyright through the Library of Congress so that you own the rights to your script before you send it out to anybody, because you don't want someone to like steal your script. Again, copywriting is not copywriting ideas. It's copywriting like the script that you wrote. if that makes sense. So it's like, because every idea is essentially, a lot of ideas have been done. You can't really copyright an idea, but you can copyright like the content, like of your script. And so you'll copyright all that. You just upload it on a PDF. And if you have a question about that, on how to do that, you can feel free to ask me in the Q&A, but copyright as well. And then also that's it. Okay, so I also give free tips for actors, screenwriters, and directors on my Facebook page. So Grant will put that link in the chat, it's my Facebook page. So if you like and follow my Facebook page, you want all these free tips. I also will occasionally give away free training. So you can take a look at that. And then also you can add yourself to my email list. Grant will stick that in the description as well. I'll send those free tips to you, as well as information about like my courses that I teach for screenwriters and directors, but also free training, you guys. So stay tuned for that. I send all that information, and that is it.
Thank you, Michaela. I did go ahead and put that in the chat for everybody. So now I'd like to open up the floor for questions. You can raise your hand and we'll unmute you and you can ask it live. You can put it in the Q&A or you can put it in the chat. Before we get going, I'd just like to lead it off here and say, so can you talk about, your first time pitching and how you got through that?
Oh, that's such a good question. I was nervous. That's the first thing I'm going to say. I was pretty nervous, which is understandable when you're pitching to, Disney Channel was always something that I dreamed of working with, and being able to actually go to the Burbank building in LA and go, everything is like marble and gold. It's crazy. Like everything in there is like that. And you have to go through like 3 different sections of security just to get to the top of the building. And so, they take me to the top of the building, and then I wait outside, and then you're just kind of waiting there to be called in. And so I think the main thing I'm going to say is just really be prepared, know what you're going to talk about, practice your pitch. You don't want to sound robotic. You kind of want not every single word to be planned, but you want to have a basic idea of like what you're going to talk about. Have your package together, have multiple copies of your script and your treatments and all of those things, and your posters, and just have that, and go in and just be normal, be yourself. I think is a big thing. Be yourself, because they also want to know if they can work with you, because if they like your pitch, they'll want to work with you. I had a wonderful time pitching to Disney Channel. I was chosen to move on in that pitch, and I was like up against like 2 other people to get picked up. And so I actually made it really, really far on my first pitch, which was I was very, very thankful for. But again, it comes a lot down to what are they looking for, and if you come in at the right timing. So they happened to be looking for what I was writing. And so it's just how it works. With the other pitches that I've done, same thing, like with, it's like, and sometimes it gets picked up, sometimes it doesn't. So my pitch experience was good. It was nerve-wracking. It was long. I was there for probably 45 minutes to an hour just for the pitch, just for the meeting, because it asked me a lot of questions. So be ready to answer all kinds of questions, particularly about your script.
Thank you. So, do we have any questions from our attendees? We have a question. What has been your most fulfilling project?
Okay, so that actually is going to be my most recent project. So I did a television pilot not that long ago, and for me it was very special because I was not only the screenwriter, but I was also the director on the project. And so I've been a director in the past, but this project especially was very special to me because I got to be there from the start to the finish, because I was not only the screenwriter, but also the director. And also, I think it came down to the content. I was writing something that I was extremely passionate about. And the story was based off of my father and his legacy, but set in the 1800s, like a period piece. And my father passed away about a couple years ago. And so for me, it was like this passion project of mine. I had written it before he passed away, and he knew that I was going to do this project. And so for me, it had something, it was very special to me, to just kind of leave a legacy behind for my father. And so essentially it was very special. Probably the most amazing thing I've ever gotten to experience was that.
Awesome. Well, how do you get over writer's block? What is your technique for getting through that? Because it does happen.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm kind of weird in the sense that I do really well under pressure. I don't know why that is, but when I'm on a deadline, I don't get writer's block as much. It's really interesting. So some people do that. So like if I have a lot of pressure to get it done, I'll get it done, and I'll get past the writer's block. Now, if I have all this time in the world, that's usually when I get writer's block more. Strangely, I don't know why that is. But normally what I'll do is I have to stop. I have to stop what I'm doing and kind of step away, because if I just continue doing it, I'm just going to go down this path of I don't know what to do. And then I get stressed out. So I usually stop, I'll pull away. And a lot of times I'll think about like my real life. And a lot of times I get inspiration from my family or my friends, or walking outside. Sometimes that you go to a different location. So a lot of times screenwriters will go to, like, they'll act, if they get writer's block, it's like, okay, I'm going to actually go rent a cabin, go up to the snow, and I'm going to sit in the snow and I'm going to write. And they're inspired by what's around them. And so they can be inspired by like the trees or the beach or anything. You will be surprised where inspiration comes from. So get out of your normal setting. I think is one of the best ways to do that.
That's great. So I've heard, I've worked with writers too, and I've heard like writers keep notebooks at restaurants in the park. Do you take character notes when you're out and about and get inspiration for characters in your shows?
Yes, yes. You'd be surprised when it happens. It's like I'm grocery shopping, and then all of a sudden, like this amazing idea pops into my head, and all the characters pop into my head, and the whole movie is in my head. And I'm like, so I like run into the car. I usually have my phone with me, and I'll have notes on my phone. And so I will just sit there for like a half hour and write notes. It depends how much inspiration has struck in the moment. But yeah, sometimes it happens. It'll happen all the time, where it's like, oh, I just have this idea. And then other times, it doesn't happen like that. Sometimes I have to sit and really think about it. So it depends. It's weird, but you got to just kind of go with what you feel.
There's an old line from a Billy Crystal movie, and he has a saying that a writer always writes. Can you talk about just constantly improving your craft?
Yeah, it's so important. Whether you're acting, whether you're writing, whether you're directing, no matter what it is, you always need to improve your craft. And you can actually take classes similar to like what we're doing here on screenwriting. And even if you're, I mean, I always recommend doing that, but just writing all the time. I think just try different genres. So try like, okay, I'm going to write a film. Now I'm going to write a television show that's a comedy. I'm going to write a documentary. I'm going to try writing a commercial. So the more diverse you can write, the better it is. So I would just say practice writing all the time. And also another great thing, producers love if you can write fast and thorough. So practice writing good work quickly. So my average time is usually I will write a full television show within 2 days. So normally I will write it within 2 days, and then I'll spend the rest of the week maybe just editing, rewriting, whatever. So I usually will take the total of a week to do it. And that's fast. And so if you can write fast, the producers love it. So practice writing fast, but good. You want to have good content. You don't want to rush it to where it's not good, but practice that. Practice all the time, write all the time.
Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, we'll wrap it up. And I want to thank Michaela for your time, and you had a lot of great information, and thank you so much for helping us empower future storytellers here at STN.
Awesome. No, thank you. I was really honored to be here.